Hey guys, today we're going to learn how to solve the 2x2 Rubik's Cube. But before we start, we need to learn about cube notations. So if you already know about cube notations, you can completely skip this bit. But if you don't, please hang on tight while we explain. To solve a cube, you only need to know 4 cube notations. Those are the following. The first one being F, or the front face. Then there's U, the upper face, L, the left face, and R, the right face. But these notations are when you want to twist those corresponding faces 90 degrees clockwise, like so. What if you want to move them anti-clockwise? That's where primes come in. A prime is where you put an apostrophe after the notation. This means that instead of moving it clockwise, you move it anti-clockwise. So this would be F, and this would be F prime. And this would be R, whereas this is R prime. This is L, this is L prime, this is U, and this is U prime.
And finally, if there's a 2 after the notation, that means you have to move the corresponding face 2 times.
That's it with cube notations. Now let's get down to solving the cube. The very first step in solving the 2x2 Rubik's Cube is to solve the bottom face and the bottom layer of the cube. The bottom face can be any color. You can choose any of the colors in the cube, but in our demonstration, we're going to use white. Now before we solve the cube, we're just going to shuffle it up a bit. So this is our fully scrambled cube. Now what we're going to do is we have to look around and find any cubes with white squares on them. For example, this, or this. Now what we should do is we should find one of them and hold them at the bottom of the cube. Like so. I'm choosing this one and I'm positioning it at the bottom. Now that we've moved our piece at the very bottom over here, we can continue to move the rest of the pieces right next to it so we can finish this face. However, we should remember that we should place them correctly in the right order because all of the pieces have their own colors except for white. And if we don't put them in properly, the layer is going to be incorrect. So to do this step, we're going to need to know 2 new moves, the left trigger and the right trigger. I'll be using this demo cube to demonstrate the triggers. The first trigger I'll be demonstrating is the left trigger. It goes like this. I move the left side up, or in other words, that'd be L prime. And then I move the upper face towards me, or that'd be U prime. And then I move the left face downwards. So that's L. I'll show you again. L prime, so I move it upwards. U prime, I move the upper face towards me. And L, I move the left face downwards. So that is our left trigger. And now for a right trigger. I move the right face upwards. So that'd be R. Then I move the upper face towards me. So that's U. And I move the right face down. That's R prime. In other words, that's R, U, R prime. That is the right trigger. So R, I'm moving it upwards. U, I'm moving the upper face away from me. And R prime, I'm moving the right face downwards. Those are 2 triggers in order to shift the pieces downwards. So here's my cube. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this whole white face using our triggers. So what I have to do now is I have to look around the cube for any pieces which have white on them. For example, this one over here. Next, I look at the other colors except for the white. So this has red and green. Now look at the piece which I have at the very bottom, which I held at the bottom earlier. It has blue and red. So in common, it has red, which means this piece over here should actually go next to this piece over here. So the reds match up like this. Now we're going to see how I can move this piece right next to this piece over here using our triggers. So now I have to find out which side this piece is actually on. So it's facing towards my left side. So because of that, I use my left trigger. So do my left trigger. So that would be L prime, U prime, L. So now this piece is moved onto the top. Now I've got to move this over here. So this block is actually aligning diagonally with the block I have at the bottom. Once I do this, I turn this over so my palm is aligning with whichever side this white is facing again. Again, it's on my left side, so I do left trigger again. There we go, L prime, U prime, L. Now you can see over here, these two pieces have matched. And underneath, the white pieces have also matched, and this side of the layer is already complete. Now we have to do the other side of the layer. Now where else do we have these blocks? So we have one over here, we've got one over here. Let's start with this one. We have to look at the colors. It's green and orange. Let's see where else we have green. There's green over here. So now we have to take this one, and there we go. It's already diagonally matched. The block's already diagonally matched. And then we simply trigger it. And now this whole area is already complete. Now we see one last piece over here. Now this is on the top. This is on the top of the cube. So in this case, we have to look and we have to align it with whichever place it's meant to be in. So this white piece should be all the way down here. So they're actually aligning in the same row. So now it's in this row. I take it and I do a trigger on whichever side the piece is in. So this is on my right side. So R, U, R prime. Now this piece has gone to the bottom. And just like we did earlier, we can just shift it up again. R, U, R prime. And now this piece is on the top, and we can do what we did earlier. There we go. It's aligned, and we can do our right trigger because this piece is facing my right side. So R, U, R prime. That is our very first face and our very first layer of the 2x2 Rubik's Cube. Now for the next part of solving the Rubik's Cube. Our next step in solving the cube is to solve our upper face. Now we can look down over here, and we can see that this is a white solved face. On the other side, on a solved cube, the solved face would be yellow. So we're trying to solve a yellow face on the top over here. You only need one algorithm to solve the upper face of the 2x2 Rubik's Cube. However, there's always different ways of holding the cube according to how it looks. For example, in this case, there is not a single yellow piece on the top face. In this case, we can just simply do our algorithm, which goes like this. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. After we finish our algorithm, we have one yellow piece over here. We can now orient this piece so that it's in our bottom left corner over here. Now we can continue our algorithm one more time. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And now we have a fully solved upper face. However, there are a few other ways our cube could have looked, and there's different holding positions for them as well. I'll be showing you them right now. This is yet another way how our cube can look when we're trying to solve the upper face. Now in this case, all we have to do is simply move this yellow line over here so that it's in our right palm. And now we can do our algorithm one more time. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And now we have that one stage again where we have that one yellow piece, so we can simply align it here and repeat our algorithm until we have our full solved face. Now that we've solved the top face of the cube, we can now do the very last step in solving the 2x2 Rubik's Cube, the top layer. Now to do this, there's only one algorithm, but there is one holding position to be aware of. First, to see that, we need to examine the top layer. So what we're looking for is we're looking for fully solved faces. So in other words, the entire top layer in that one side should be finished. In our case, we don't see any of that, so we can just continue with our algorithm. So this is how our algorithm goes. L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime. That's it with the algorithm. Now we just have to do our previous algorithm again. So it's our square over here. We should just do our previous algorithm. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. Now we've got a finished face over here. We can just orient it so it's a finished face. There we go. And we have to keep this finished face in our left palms. So keep it over here, and L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime. Now again, it's that square over here, so we're going to do a previous algorithm. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And there we go. It's our fully solved 2x2 Rubik's Cube. That was it. You just solved the 2x2 Rubik's Cube. It's fine if you didn't get it the first time around. You can just watch the video again, and I'm sure you'll get it. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next upload. By the way, if you have any doubts, please feel free to put them down in the comment section below, and I'll try as hard as I can to answer them.